everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm super excited to share with all of you a swatch party of some shades that I hauled from Clionadh, and also a demo with a few of these new shades. So in case you all aren't familiar with Clionadh, they are an indie eyeshadow brand that is particularly famous for their stained glass collection of glittery multi-chromatic shades. So they've been having a sale on their website, which started around Black Friday and is still going on as of the filming of this video. I will leave a pinned comment down below in terms of whether it's still going on when this video comes out. But I was really excited about the sale, so I picked up 10 of their stained glass collection shades. And if you guys buy 10 or more shades at Clionadh, make sure to use their promotion code CROSSFORMULA and you'll get $1 off each shade. That's what I did, and that's why I decided to pick up 10 of these. So it's taken me a little while to get around to filming this video, so I actually have featured several of these shades in a few of my videos already, so I'll link those down in the description box below in case you want to see more of these shadows in action. For today's video though, I wanted to make sure that we get some nice swatches of all of these and play around with some of the shades that I haven't gotten a chance to try out yet. I haven't decided yet what kind of look I want to do today, so I have on this rainbow dress, so hopefully this will go well with whatever look that I decide to do. So without further ado, let's get into these swatches. So the first shade is UV, which is one of their Series 2 iridescent multi-chrome shadows. UV has a translucent base that shifts indigo, violet, peach. And I use this shade on my inner corners for one of my first looks with Clionadh shadows. So these iridescent multichromes just look white in pan, but they have a really beautiful, colorful shift on the eyes. Next we have Regal, which is a glitter type vibrant multichrome. Regal has an indigo base with large glitter particles that shift gold, lime, turquoise. And this is a gorgeous all over the lid shade. This shade has a lot of beautiful sparkle. Next we have Heirloom, which is one of the vibrant multi-chrome shadows. Heirloom has a teal green base that shifts gold, green, turquoise. And this was actually the shade that I wore for my holiday gift guide, in case you guys checked out that video. And later in today's video, I'll show the footage where I added this shade to my lid. This is a really unique shade that has a beautiful flip from gold to blue. And I think you can see a little bit more of that dimension in this finger swatch. Next is Carving, which is one of the glitter multichromes. Carving has a sheer, grungy, light brown base with medium large glitter particles that shift turquoise, indigo, violet, pink. So this is a really unique shade that has a beautiful grungy element to it. It almost goes from a brown to a mint green, as you guys can see in the swatch over here. Next we have Emboss, which is also a glitter multichrome. Emboss has a semi-pigmented salmon base with small medium glitter particles that shift lime, turquoise, blue. This is a really fun shade in that I feel like not many brands come out with multichromes that have more of this coral salmon base to them. The shift on this looks a little bit more subtle in swatch, but on the lids you can definitely see that pink to green shift. Next, we have Shard, which is a hybrid multichrome. Shard has a brown base with small medium glitter particles that shift turquoise, indigo, violet, red. And the hybrid multichromes are a fusion between their jeweled and glitter multichromes. And in person, you can actually see a shift to bronze as well. Next, Majesty is a vibrant multichrome. Majesty has an orange base that shifts gold, green, turquoise. It's a little bit tricky to see the green turquoise on camera. It's a little bit more evident in person. Next up, Bloodline is a vibrant multichrome. Bloodline has a burgundy berry base that shifts gold, green, turquoise, blue, purple. So definitely a lot of shades in this one. I don't think the camera is picking up on most of them though. I think the finger swatch better shows that gold, green, turquoise element. Next we have Grisaille, which is a glitter multichrome. Grisaille has a semi-pigmented terracotta base with medium glitter particles that shift turquoise, indigo, violet, pink. So here is that swatch. And you can see it looks somewhat similar to the previous shade, but the shifts are actually quite different. Grisaille has a little bit more of a pink base and more of a blue shift to it. Last but certainly not least, we have Opulent, and this is a glitter multichrome. Opulent has warm purple-brown base, almost rose gold, with medium glitter particles that shift orange, gold, green, and turquoise. This is definitely one of the shades I am most excited about because I see so many beautiful swatches and looks on Clionahd's website with this shade. And here we have that finger swatch again so you can see some more of that beautiful shift. And here we have a close-up of all of the swatches again, starting with UV, Regal, Heirloom, Carving, Emboss, Shard, Majesty, Bloodline, Grisaille, and Opulent. So the shades that I haven't gotten a chance to try out yet are these three down here, plus this one. So I'm going to try to do a look using all of these shades today. And I would say the common denominator behind all of these shades is there is a little bit of a purpley base. So let's do a multichromatic purple look today. So I have here my Natasha Denona Triochrome palette and Circo Loco palette, which are my two favorite palettes to dip into for colorful mattes whenever I'm using some individual indie shadows. So to start things out, I'm going to go in with my Wayne Goss number 16 brush into Cotton Candy. And I'm going to sweep this generously all over the outside of my crease area. This is going to just set up all of the other shadows. And today I just have concealer on my lids. And let me actually zoom you guys closer. So you can see that just added a really light dusting of pink to the lids. So now with that same brush, I'm going to add a little bit more depth with Tungsten from Triochrome. This is going to be the primary transition shade. So I'm going to sweep this all over the crease area. And now for some depth, I'm going back into Circo Loco into this magic shade. And with my Wayne Goss number 19 brush, I'm going to use this in the outer thirds just to add some more definition. And then on the lower lash line, I'm going to follow the same steps. So with my Wayne Goss number 20, I'm first going into Cotton Candy, putting this lightly all over the lower lash line. Again, this doesn't add a ton of pigment, but just will be used to set everything else up. And with that same brush, I'm dipping into Tungsten and sweeping this closer to the lash line. And with the tip of my Sonia G Builder, I'm going to go into Magic and just put a little bit of that into the outer thirds. So here we have the initial matte look down. So now we're ready for the shimmers. So if you've been watching my videos recently, you know that I'm absolutely obsessed with this Pat McGrath IntensifEYES Artistry wand. It's just the perfect primer for any glittery, flaky shades to prevent fallout. It's basically mixing liquid turned into a balm and then put into a wand. So if you have mixing liquid, you can definitely use that instead of this wand for this step. But I personally just find this wand really, really convenient to use because it means I don't have to get anything wet. I don't have to wash my brushes afterward. So I've found this just super, super handy. So for today's look, I'm just putting this all over my lid area, except for the outer third. And then also I'm putting some on the inner 2/3 of the lower lash line. So first off, Shard is the deepest shade, so I'm going to put this close to where I have that matte shade. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, I think that'll do a good job of just blending things seamlessly into that outer corner transition area. And I probably should have done this with a brush for some more precision, but wow, look just how pretty that shade is. Oh, I love putting these shades on the lids. They just look so beautiful. They really just come alive. And you can see there's absolutely no fallout. It just sticks to the area with that mixing liquid. And next to that, I'm going to put some of Grisaille, since this is a really fun pinky shade. Ooh, look at that. Huh, it's interesting. In the monitor, I feel like the blue is really coming across, so the two almost are melding together. But when I look down, I'm really seeing that strong pinky fuchsia shade. It's fascinating how different these look at different angles. Ooh, look at that. So pretty. And then for the inner corner, I'm going to take some of Opulent. Ooh, look how bright that is. This one has a lot of light, so hopefully this just brightens up the whole look. And so now I'm just going to kind of go over the edges, almost like I'm finger painting, and just blur those a little bit so everything melds together a bit better. Wow. Look how easy that was to put together, and it's so multi-dimensional. Whew. And now for the lower lash line, I'm going in with my Sonia G Builder into Bloodline and just tapping this on the lower lash line. Okay, I might have gotten a little bit too much of that shade. I am experiencing a little bit of spread down here, but that's okay. I'll clean that up later. I feel like Bloodline kind of looks like Opulent and Grisaille had a baby, so hopefully by using this one shade, it sort of matches the top. Really pretty. Alrighty, so here we have all of the shimmers on my eyes. So now I'm just going to go back in with some of these mattes to just clean up any of these edges. So first off, I'm taking a little bit of Magic and just going very, very lightly around the edges of the outer third, just to make sure everything blends in nicely. Also just sweeping that lightly along the crease area. And then with my Wayne Goss number 16, I'm going back into Cotton Candy and just sweeping this on the edges. Just really want to blur any harshness. And with my builder brush, I'm just going to zhuzh the edges on the lower lash line as well. And since this is such a purple look, I think it'll be really nice to go in with UV as brow bone highlight. So with my soft definer from Sonia G, I'm just going to take a little bit of UV and just sweep that on the brow bone. So hopefully you guys can see just a little hint of that purple. Let me just add a little bit more, so hopefully it's a little bit more evident. So there we go. Really, really fun purple shift. Do the same on this side. Ooh, okay, that was a little bit much. Let me just dab off that brush and just evenly spread this out. I really love the shine that UV gives. It's really flaky when you first apply it, but once you blend it into the skin, it's a really, really smooth sheen. And then for the inner corner, just to shake things up a bit, I'm gonna go in with Majesty because I wanna bring in a little bit of gold. I really like the combination of yellow and purple, so I think this will be fun just to add a little bit more light to the center of the look. There we go. So I'm going to go off camera now to do my eyeliner and then be back with my overall thoughts about this Clionadh haul. So here we have the finished look, and I have to say I am really pleased with how it turned out. Even though I have 4 very shifty multichromatic shades on my lids, I think the overall look is actually extremely cohesive. And as you guys saw, it was just super easy to put together. I basically just used my fingers for most of the look, but it's looking really nice. Very, very multi-dimensional. Let me actually just give you guys a quick close-up. Hopefully you guys can see some of that beautiful shift. I find the best way to see the shifts in the camera is to focus on one eye at a time, because then you'll really see that full multi-chromatic shift. In case you're curious what else I have on my face today, for foundation I have my Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation, and I have this in the shade Y255. This is a little bit deep for me right now because I've lost a lot of color in the winter time, but I was able to make it work by just bronzing up the rest of my complexion. For concealer, I went in with my Pat McGrath concealer in the shade LM10. Then I lightly set my face with my By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra-Powder. For brows, I have my Huda Beauty Balm Brows in the shade Soft Black. For bronzer, I went in with Harmony from LYS. This bronzer is a little bit deep for me currently, but with the slightly deeper foundation, it worked out quite well. Then for my blush today, I mixed together the two shades in the Contrachroma High Intensity Blush and Highlight from Kosas. For highlighter, I went in with Golden Nectar from Pat McGrath. And for my lips, I went in with my Lisa Eldridge lip pencil in Affair and Nude Venus from Charlotte Tilbury. And this is actually a combination that one of you all suggested to me, so thanks so much for the recommendation. And as always for eyeliner, I went in with my M Cosmetics brush liner in the shade Brown and my Pat McGrath eyeliner in the shade Black Coffee. So today's video is not like my typical review videos in that today was mostly about just showing you guys these gorgeous swatches and doing some fun looks using these shades. I am absolutely in love with Clionadh and these shadows. They're just so beautiful and each one is so unique on the lids. As you guys could see from today's look, it was super easy to put together. Most of the time I was just using my fingers and not even any brushes. And I was able to create a really complicated, multi-dimensional, glittery look. Before we close out this video though, I did want to show you guys some clips of me using Heirloom all over the lids when I did my holiday gift video. I think that look was more representative of how I would typically use these Clionadh shadows, which is that I just went in with a bunch of matte shades and then one of these shadows all over the lid so you could really see the full impact and effect of the shadow. So I think that really simple kind of look is a really excellent way to use these shades and be able to see the full range of the shift. So without further ado, let's get into that footage. So for today's look, I wanted to do something festive with green and red. So to start off this look, I'm going to go into my Midnight Sun palette from Pat McGrath. And with my reference number 16 brush, I'm going to take this reddish matte shade and use this as my crease color. So this is more pigmented than I would normally go in for initial crease color. Since this is Pat McGrath, it should blend out pretty easily. And currently I just have my Pat McGrath concealer on my lids as primer. So with the initial matte shade out of the way, I'm going to go in now with my GSN 9 from Chicahodo into this mossy green shimmer shade. And I'm going to lay this on the outer corner area, just to add a little bit of green depth. This also just has a hint of almost golden bronzy shimmer in it, which I think is really fun for the holidays. And I'm just patting this on gently to avoid fallout. Also brushing a little bit of this in the perimeters around the crease area, just because later on I'm going to go in with a really flaky shade on the lid and I want it to be able to blend in easily. So now taking my IntensifEYES Artistry wand from Pat McGrath, I'm going to sweep this all over the lid area on that blank space. And now for the fun part. I'm going to dip into Heirloom from Clionadh, this beautiful, very flaky shade. And I'm just going to press this onto the eyelids over the area where I put the IntensifEYES wand. And on the lid, I would say this is actually more of a cool toned, almost slightly sea foam type of shade. And now I'm going to repeat the steps I did previously and go back in with that dark green shade and just lightly dab that around the edges to make sure that Heirloom blends in seamlessly. And then with my reference number 14, I'm going back into that red matte shade and just adding that back to the crease area. Laying this on very carefully because, again, I want to avoid as much fallout as possible. And then with my soft definer from Sonia G, I'm going into that matte shade and then just sweeping that on the lower lash line, concentrating it on the outer third. And then with the tip of my GSN 9, I'm going back into the olive shade and sweeping that on the outer third. And then on the inner 2/3, I'm going to go into this bronzy shade on my builder brush from Sonia G and just sweep this over the rest of the lower lash line just to bring in some festive golden bronze. And finally, I'm just going to clean it up with my soft definer brush and a little bit more of that reddish matte shade. And then with my mini booster from Sonia G, I'm going into this lighter gold shade and putting this on the inner corners and also sweeping that a little bit over the inner third as well. So here we have the final eyeshadow look, a mashup between Midnight Sun and Clionadh. Hopefully you guys can see some of the shift and sparkle in the Clionadh shade. So I'm going to go off now to finish off this look. So here we have the final look. In case you're curious what else I have on my face today, for foundation I used the LYS foundation in the shade LG6 and one pump of the Pat McGrath foundation in the shade LM13. My skin tone is currently between these two at the moment. For concealer, I have on my trusty Pat McGrath concealer in LM10. I set my face with my By Terry Hydra-Powder and then bronzed it up with the Marc Jacobs Omega Bronze in Tantalize. For blush, I used this red shade from the NARS Orgasm on the Beach palette. For highlighter, I went in with Lunar Nude from Pat McGrath. For my brows, I have my Kosas brow pencil and tinted brow gel. And for the lips, I went in with my Gucci satin lipstick in the shade Janet Rust. And I'm really pleased with the look that I got. I think this is a really fun, festive look for the holidays. I'm glad that I was able to incorporate red, green, and also a little bit of gold into this look. And I'm absolutely loving how these Clionadh stained glass shades just make any sort of look so beautiful and multi-dimensional. I know today I added a bunch of other shades as well to further amp up the Christmas effect, but honestly you could go in with just one matte and then this multi-chrome and it would look so pretty for the holidays. So in terms of my overall thoughts about these Clionadh shadows, I am absolutely in love with these formulas and just how beautiful they are on the lids. These shadows are really amazing in terms of just how glittery and multi-dimensional they are. You really aren't going to find these sorts of eyeshadows from a lot of the larger, more mainstream beauty brands. And so I love how these can instantly jazz up any sort of makeup look that you're doing. My only caveat with these shadows are that they are quite flaky, and so I would highly recommend using them either with a very heavy duty eye primer or with mixing liquid. I think that will help a lot to just make sure that the shadows adhere to your lids and that you don't have a lot of fallout. Provided you do that though, these are gorgeous, super fun to play around with. I would highly, highly recommend them. There's really nothing bad I can say about these shadows. They are on the pricey side though, so just keep your eyes out for any sales on their website. But you honestly don't need that many of these shadows in order to have a lot of fun and to be able to create a very wide variety of eyeshadow looks. So that's it for today's video. If you guys like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. If you guys have tried Clionadh or other indie eyeshadow brands, I would love to hear in the comments down below what your favorite shades have been. And if I have not yet featured your favorite indie eyeshadow brand, please let me know what it is down below and if there are particular products you would recommend starting out with. Recently, I have been getting really interested in these indie eyeshadow brands because they just have the best glittery multi-chromatic shades, so I'm always on the hunt for new brands to check out. But thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!